a pineapple upside down cake in the Ninja Foodi. So we're going to start off with the topping because the topping needs to go into the base. I'm going to be using the Ninja bakeware set, which if you've watched my other videos, you know I absolutely love that. Highly recommend it. In my description below, there'll be a link which will take you to my accessories page, and on there will be everything that I recommend. So this is a great purchase if you've got the Ninja Foodi. So let's start off with 50 grams in here of unsalted butter. And I'm just now going to measure out some light, soft brown sugar. And we want equal amounts, so 50 grams. Just doing it a little bit at a time, just trying to make it nice and accurate. Great, that's 50 grams. And all we want to do is beat those together until they're really creamy. So I'm using my mixer for this, just makes it a lot quicker and easier. And that's going to get the right consistency that we're looking for. So now the butter and the sugar is well combined, what I do is I put a layer on the bottom here of my tin, and this is going to be the top because we're going to flip it obviously upside down once it's baked. So we kind of cover the bottom the best you can. I have to be honest, it's really not that easy, just wants to kind of all clump together and move around. And I've gone a little way up the sides, only like probably a quarter-ish. So that part is done. Now I've got my pineapple rings. So let's open that up. The inspiration of making this really came from the fact that I had a tin of pineapple that I had opened and I cooked some gammon the other night. So I wanted to not waste this pineapple. So I thought, why not make this? I looked at several recipe ideas for this and kind of went with what I felt was going to be the best, and we're going to be steam baking this as well. So let's get our pineapple rings and let's arrange those on top of this. Not quite sure how many we're going to want and how many we're going to fit in. Let's see. I think 6. We're going to fit in there just nicely. There you go. And all I've got left is a tiny little thin piece anyway. So 6 of those is fitting in there nicely. Now, something else I saw on some recipes for a pineapple upside down cake was to add some glacé cherries. Now, you don't have to do this. If you haven't got them, then don't worry. But I did think that on those recipes, it actually looked quite effective. So these ones are halves. So I'm just going to take out the sort of biggest, nicest looking ones and just sit them in the middle. So we're just going to need the 6 of those. There you go. Just adds a real nice little bit of colour to it. It's very retro, this, isn't it? And again, I already had these in my store cupboard from something else I was making. So why not use it? Right, now we need to get onto the actual cake batter itself. So that is the prep done in the tin for now. So we can put that to one side. Not going to need to clean this out. We're just going to put that back on the scales. And now we can measure in butter. And it's going to be the same quantities for butter, sugar, and flour. And I kind of like recipes to be like that because I do that a lot with my cakes. It just makes your life a bit easier, just remembering quantities. So we want 100 grams of butter. Ideally, you want this to have been at room temperature for a while. It's just going to make it much easier to then combine it. And I tend to use a knife and just put mine into small pieces. And again, that just helps it to combine a bit quicker. Now, we're not using the light brown sugar. We're actually moving on to some caster sugar now. So 100 grams of caster sugar is going to go in here. I know some people like an all-in-one method where they put all the ingredients in and just purely mix it together. I prefer to cream my butter and sugar first and then sort of layer and add my ingredients as I go along. It's up to you really, but this is just the way I've always done it when I've made a cake. So let's cream those together first. Next is my eggs. I've got 2 eggs here. So let's put those in. Then I add the vanilla and then I mix it again just to combine those to start with. Let's grab my vanilla. So I always use an extract. It's a bit stronger than an essence. And I want around a teaspoon, so I'll just measure that in there roughly. And let's give that a little mix. Next ingredient is our self-raising flour, and it's that 100 grams again. And then we want baking powder as well. So let's measure that in, try and be accurate with that. So a teaspoon of baking powder. Just going to remove the scales. We're not going to need those now. And just give this a little mix. You can put it back under your food mixer if you want to, but I mean, this doesn't take any effort at all. Look how quickly that's coming together. So doing that by hand is nice and easy. Just make sure that I get all of that flour nicely combined. So it's a very simple cake batter, this, quite classic, but we don't really want to waste any of that really lovely juice that we've got there. So often you've probably seen with my cake batters that I've made before, I loosen it slightly with a little bit of milk. So in this case, we might as well use the pineapple syrup. That's going to help loosen it, and it's also going to give us a beautiful flavour. So, and then nothing really goes to waste either, does it? So just 2 tablespoons going in. And then give that another mix. That's perfect. That's loosened it just like it would if I was adding the milk that I normally put in. Brilliant. Cake batter done. All that's left to do is to add that on top of our pineapple. So let's get that in, and then we are ready to go and cook. So what I'm probably going to do with this, because obviously we don't want to mess up the pattern that we've got below. So let's just spoon that over, and then we can just smooth the top off. That's going to be probably the easiest way. It's not a great deal of batter here, but hopefully we're going to get a nice rise on this. So now we can just spread that across like so. There's just enough in here. This tin works perfectly. And it fits just right in the Ninja, so it's great. We want 300 millilitres of water in the bottom, and that's what we're going to use to steam the cake. Let's get the cake on the rack, and we can lower that into the Ninja and close the lid. Move over to your middle section, which is combi steam, and there you will see steam bake. Let's go with a temperature of 160. And because this hasn't got a great deal of actual cake mixture to this recipe, it's not probably going to take very long. I'm going to go with 25 minutes. Remember, we have this build up of steam happening here. That is going to partly be cooking the cake as well. Once your cake is baked, and that had the 25 minutes, you want to leave it for a good 5-10 minutes in the tin, just so it cools enough, but it's still warm, so we can flip it out. So I'm going to put it onto a plate, and we're going to turn it over, and let's hope it comes out well. There it is. Look at that. Pineapple upside down cake. Look how oozy and delicious that is on the top, and that's obviously from that sugar and butter mix that we had. And then we have got the pineapple rings, and I think it looks really good with the cherries added to it as well. If you enjoyed the recipe, please hit the like button for me, and if you'd like to see more Ninja Foodi recipes from me, then hit that subscribe button below too. Thank you for watching.